Good
Okay. Pretty
evening,
good.
Brian.
Pretty good. It's getting better.
I think I just worked on the timing of it. Like I practiced before. Like I play it and then I put myself on camera and I just try and see how quick I can do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I know people don't know, and for the people that are coming in the room before we came on live, I was having a lot of problems with my internet. I said, "Screw this! I have a cord that is literally 25 feet long, and it's going from my laptop over to my router, which is about probably 10 feet away. So there is not going to be an issue with my internet today, unless, of course, it's my user. So hopefully we won't have any problems today. But I know with at your end, sometimes.
Well, for the majority, it's me. But somehow I've got better.
So maybe what you should do to stop the problem from happening, maybe you should go and get yourself a cord so you can plug it right into your router.
I would, but my router's I'm connected to my phone because the router's a piece of shit.
Oh, that's funny. Very funny. Well, I'd like to thank everybody that's in the room today. We have another great show and another great guest today, and
yes,
I'm
we do.
really looking forward to speaking with her. But before we get to that, what's been going on with you this week, Lex?
Well, as you would know, getting a hold of me this week has been quite tough because I've been slamming it at my other job. So, but other than that, it's the reason I'll tell you why I'm enjoying the week because football's back on. The Euro League, I'm killing it. England won their game today, so I'm in such a good mood. But that's pretty much been the week. It's just been work, really, more than anything else.
That was pretty. I saw a story yesterday. Was it yesterday, the day before, where that soccer player collapsed?
The Denmark player Eriksen. Yeah, it was. I saw it live. It was a horrible, horrible situation that was happening there. Made worse by the media.
Yeah, and I saw like you could see the crowd was standing around him, and it looked like they were doing it on purpose to protect him.
Yeah, there's the teammates.
You can actually see the guy doing CPR on this guy. So, any news on him?
Yeah, so Eriksen, he's okay. He's stable. He's okay. He did suffer a cardiac arrest on the field, and everyone's wished it. In fact, when he was spoken to today by I think it's his coach who spoke to him, he was actually asking about how his team did, how was the team, and it just shows you what kind of man he is. That he could have just died, and his concern is how's my wife, how's my team. And I'm so glad he is because it was a horrible thing to watch. And again, the cameras on TV, everyone's upset because they were trying to film him. And I really have. I put it on Twitter yesterday. I have a lot of respect for his teammates forming that human shield in front of him. So, but I'm glad he's okay.
Is it me or does it seem to be happening a lot more recently? I know that it's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. It's happened a lot in hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely scary. So anything related to anything paranormal or anything like that?
Well, other than just validating my writing my segments out for the future podcast, I've got obviously the Randonautica poll that we're doing every week is coming to a close. I think the next week's show for us will probably be the last time I ask the question because that is 20 guests that we've asked.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of that I'm going to compile what we've got, and I'm actually writing up the poll results, and that's going to be a huge discussion on my podcast anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's literally just been working on that, just if and where I can.
Well, we'll have to talk about it next week on next week's show, and see. I kind of know the results already, and I find it interesting. Lately, I haven't been seeing the Randonautica videos as much online. I think it's run its course, to be honest.
That's because there's a new one. That's why.
Oh, what's the new one?
It's like Scaranoia or something. I think it's the same thing.
Is that the one that Omar and
Jody Dean? Yeah.
Did they create it, or was it just Jody Dean, or who was it?
So I think it's Jody Dean. I need to look into the actual app itself. I haven't got it yet because I'm still working on the Randonautica results. But once I've done that, I think I am going to move on to that app next and see, because people like it. It's got a good buzz online, but is it another Randonautica situation? So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to, you know what I'm like, Brian. I'm going to dive deep into this.
So is there a cost to it? on this one?
I believe there is, yes.
Of
I
course
just haven't
there
looked it
is.
up yet. Yeah.
Of course there is. Why? Of course there is.
If I wasn't on my phone, I'd find it right now to show you.
Of
But
course
yeah,
there's a cost.
Lexi's just said in the chat that it was created by Jody Dean, and
Okay.
Omar created one called Intentions with a Z on the end. How original! Sorry, I slipped.
No, it's okay. I got it. I got it. But I think I don't know. I just I think when there's a cost that comes to it, I don't know. I think that is all about money, to be honest. So
I mean, most of the time it is for all of it. So for certain people that you and me will later on talk about on this show, but I think it is, and that's why I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to test it myself, and then I'm going to speak to some people who aren't on plus 10,000 subs on YouTube and see how they're finding it, because I'm sure the results will be completely different to the popular YouTubers than the underground YouTubers, as I call them. So we're underground, bro.
Yeah. Well, with me this week, there wasn't a lot. I was possibly going out to do an investigation tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it is. I am going to be hitting a place next week that the video will go on to Paraflix.
Yes.
It's Candy Factory. I'm going with Reckless Adventure. We're collabing up and doing an investigation. I love working with these guys, Mo and Hef. They're great. Not only are they great investigators, they're great people.
Big shout out to, if you're a fan of our show, we've had Hef on here before from Reckless.
Yes, we have. That's right.
Fantastic guests.
Yes. And so that tells me from our question last week, or what we were talking about last week, how many Canadian guests we've had on. We've had on 3, because I forgot about Hef.
So it's 3-1 Canadians and Brit. We've had one. Technically we had 2 British because there was 2 of them. So I'm gonna go 3-2. It's almost even.
So I think we're doing that. We're doing that next Saturday. Hopefully we're going to go live, and I'm also going to tape it. Zach will be there filming it with Savon, but that's going to be a great investigation. Supposedly, what Hef has told me, it's very haunted. He's been downstairs in the basement, and he heard 2 women talking and laughing.
Wow!
And there was nobody else there, so that's great. So looking forward to that. Other than that, yesterday, I know I told you in the green room, I got a new, you know what? I'd love to kiss the guy that created the external hard drive, because that is a godsend, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got a 5 terabyte external hard drive, and I was able to download everything that I've done in the last year to this hard drive. And it's made my laptop, because my laptop was getting slow because it was getting plugged up with all these videos and stuff like that. It's just absolutely. So that basically took me all day yesterday.
Nice.
My laptop's nice and fast again, like it was when I first bought it. But other than that, not much other. And also, we're still working on that big surprise that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks for Parapost.
Looking forward to
people
hearing
in the room join up to Parapost. It's going to be good. We have something really special coming for Parapost. So we are still working on that. It's going to take a little bit of time because it's kind of complicated. But other than that, we are looking forward to it. So I think we've spoken enough. I think we should bring up our guest. I'll let you introduce her.
Fantastic. Well, this is really exciting for me to introduce this week. We have V from Live Paranormal with V, the podcast that I know a few people in the room have already listened to. Brian's heard it. I've a massive listener of it. And she's a very good friend of mine. She's also a colleague outside of this YouTube game. And I'd like to introduce her. This is V from Live Paranormal podcast. Hi.
There she is.
Guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
Good. Well, we're happy that you're here. I know during the week we spoke briefly that you were excited about coming on the show today, and we were very excited. It's funny because I asked Lex about a month ago if we could get you on the show, and he goes, "Well, I'll try." And I'll try. And I think she's going on vacation. When did you go on vacation? Because you went on vacation a little while ago.
It was like the end of May, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
when you asked me.
Yeah. So, but thanks for coming on. We're happy to have you. I got the opportunity to listen to some of your shows today. Nice. I enjoyed them. So.
No, that's awesome. That's great.
I will say thank you for coming on also, because you are the first non-YouTube channel I think we've had on the show so far.
Really?
I believe this is our, I think this is our first podcast.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm stoked about that. That's so cool.
I was thinking Zach for a minute there, but he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Factory of Fears. So yeah, you're the first non-YouTuber. That's great. Wow.
Oh, I'm so happy. That's awesome, guys.
Right. So I think we should just dive straight into this. What do you think, guys?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Definitely.
Let's do this. Yeah.
Good.
Excited.
Because there are some questions we've got to ask you that I am wanting to know the answers to personally. So, and this brings me to my first question for you. Of all the subjects you could have picked from, because you're great at the podcast, I think your show is really well put together, that you could have made anything work. Why did you choose the paranormal side of things in particular?
You know, to be honest, it really started with just telling stories of my own life, of my own experiences. That's what it was going to just be, but it's become something else, and it's turned into, you know, other people's experiences. And when I joined Twitter and I found such a large community of other people in the paranormal community who have also experienced what I have, it made me feel less alone, you know, because when you grow up and, you know, I'm a medium. So when I was a young medium, I would experience all these things, and you do feel like you're the only one, you know, and it's almost the feeling like you're an outcast. But when I found this community, I felt so at home, and I wanted to just get to know others. I wanted to know their experiences. And that's what my show is all about. It's the human experience, experiencing the paranormal, and how did it affect you emotionally? Because me, as you can hear in like the very first episodes of my show, you can hear how I experienced it as a terrified child and how it impacted me later in life. So I chose that because my life has, you know, I've experienced some things in my life, and it's worth telling, you know. And that's really where I brought the paranormal in. And now it's turned into, like, I love horror. I love scary movies. So that's just who I am, you know, hence the name Paranormal V. So it's just a part of who I am. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. You know, I'll be honest. I've never been a huge, I'm more of a visual person. And so I've never been a real big person on the podcast side. I've only recently started, because there's a few other people I know. There's a few people with Parachills that run their own podcast too. So that's when I really started getting into more of the podcast side, because again, I'm a visual person. So a question I wanted to ask you was, when you started this podcast, what have been some of your best resources that have helped you along the way?
You know, reaching out to other people who are podcasters in this community. I have to agree with you, Bryan. I never really got into podcasting until I started podcasting myself. So now I have like my own list of favorites, and, you know, it's just grown from there. I've always and only seen YouTube, you know, so for shows and whatnot, but now I just love it. But I think in that podcast community, everybody's so helpful. Like, some aren't, but those who really just love it's all about support, you know. I think in any community there's just people who are just, you know, but I've had great encounters, positive people who just help me, you know, as far as like growing my platform and getting into other places. But yeah, I think that's the best, is like support within the community. That's what I've learned. So yeah,
that's a very similar story to I think, because I started YouTube in September. And one of the first people I met was Bryan on Twitter, who really helped me get over that first hurdle, the first video. And since then, we've just become as close as we are now. Almost family at this point. And
awesome.
and I've respected everything. Because Bryan would let me know if there was something iffy about a video. He'd be like, well, maybe look at that, because that's not done very well. Like, that edit looks it looks suspect. He'd tell me, and that's what I respect, and vice versa. So I love the fact that the community of, like you said, you came up with asking for podcasters for support and stuff. I fully understand that, because I did exactly the same with Bryan. And I ain't stopping yet.
It's great. You have friends to talk to, and to support you, and the times when you just feel like giving up sometimes. So when you first start, I don't know if you can agree with me, but you start and maybe you feel like not a lot of people are listening if your message is getting out, but then all of a sudden it's just like the right people just get magnetized to your show. It just works out naturally.
I think in this area, and I'm glad Lex said what he said, I think everybody's kind of in the same boat. And I think with any business, whether it's YouTube, whether it's a TV show, whether it's you're opening your own business down the street, anything, when you first open and when you first put on that, like, let's say, video on YouTube, you're scared. You're scared because you don't know how people are going to react, and you don't even know if people are going to watch. You know what I mean? And it's scary. It's a scary thing. Like, I'm sure, like, podcast is a lot different from YouTube, but it's do you find that I'm gonna whip you a question. I know we talked about the questions before, but do you find that it's a lot more difficult with a podcast and reaching out to people rather than people on YouTube and any other platform, like, let's say, Paraflix or something along that lines?
You know what? I think YouTube and the podcast community and Paraflix, like, I think they're all successful because they have their own community. Like I said, everybody in the YouTube community, like, there's YouTubers, there's podcasters. I think that's what it is. Like, we were just talking, some people prefer podcasts. They have the time for it. That's what they like to listen to. And then you have, like, the more visual people. I want to see the show. I want to see it happening. And then Paraflix, like, people like us who are all about horror and paranormal, like, we want to see all of that in one place. I think that it just depends on the person. Yeah, but when I first started, like, podcasting, I remember when I had like 10 listens, I was like, yes. But I think that, it's just turned into when I saw where my show could go, I was just like, I've even had a lot of people tell me, you should make it into a YouTube show. It has potential to do that. So it's something I've been thinking of, and we'll see.
So that kind of leads me into this question. When it comes to your podcast, I'm sure you ask lots of different questions when you have your guests on your podcast. What is one question you really love asking people?
I think what I've asked when I have guests on is, how did that make, I either ask them how their experience, like what that made them feel and what emotions they were feeling and what they took out of that experience. Because what I hope for is other people who do listen, who've experienced these things, maybe they've never told anybody. Maybe they've been scared, even to admit that what they saw was real. I want people to hear that there's others like them, so that they can come out of that fear and maybe find some bravery in their own strength, So I think that's the first, probably the first question I like to ask is, how did that make you feel and what did you learn from it? So.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we kind of generalize around that type of question when we're doing our show, like me and Lex, because we always ask people, paranormal investigators, every week, what is your origin story? Meaning, how did you get into it? Why did you get into it? And all those things. And it's really, really interesting to listen to other people's story and how they got into it. Oh, yeah. I know how I got into it because I'm considered a sensitive myself. And so, and I know I know the way Lex got into it and stuff like that. But I started out, I had experiences when I was a child, like I saw things and like I only see things. I don't necessarily hear them. So when I was 15 and I had my first real experience with one of them touching me, that set me off in the direction that I loved everything about the paranormal. And then I started discovering more about myself as a sensitive and what I could do. So when I say I see things like I'm looking at you right now. I see your hair, I see your face, and I can see what clothes you're wearing and stuff like that. But when I actually see a spirit, it's just black. And it's a black, like, depending on if it's a negative spirit or I hate to use good spirit, but a good spirit.
Positive,
with a good spirit, I see like a blob. But I can tell, and I can also feel that it's between I can tell if it's a man or a woman. Okay. For example, the other day I was outside of my balcony because I live in a condo. I was outside my balcony and I actually saw one literally walk down the street. And then the day before, I saw one that was on one side of the road and went boom right across the road. Like super speed. Like it was almost like driving in a car. Okay. That's how fast it was going. I wish I had a camera. And but some people might not have seen it. But when I see a negative entity or spirit, and maybe even a demonic, it's more of a mist and it's more translucent. So, and it's moving very, very slowly, and that's what I see. So it's definitely interesting, and a little bit about myself. And when we get into the origin stories of other people, and when you ask people, it's just a great topic, and it really helps us learn about you and us and somebody you're interviewing. And it's just great. I find it amazing. I know Lex's only ability is to, pick up the tools and use them. So
I tell you now, I do it brilliantly.
I was going to say, he does it really well.
Yeah, it's funny.
Not bad in 9 episodes of my first season. I've done okay.
Yeah, you have actually. I enjoy your videos. And it's funny because when I was talking about that earlier, about being scared on releasing your first video or your first podcast or whatever, I remember talking to the Lex, and it took about an hour and a half, I think it was, of conversation through DM on Twitter to convince him to put up fucking video. just put it up, dude.
Well, this was like, this was like my first ever edit job as well. So I was just bricking it because, like, I'm not. The thing is, like, in real life, in person, I'm not afraid of anybody. I don't care what you say to me in person or behind my back. I don't care. Like, it's a word. Call me whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. But when the bit I was thinking of is like people are going to point out my editing mistakes, that look how poor that transition was, and critiquing work. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm very biased to my own work. I think I'm the dog's bollocks at this editing thing until I met Zach. So it's like I was worried really about the critiquing thing, and then I know that every now and then the comment section of the paranormal community is always full of that one. I wouldn't even say skeptic. I'd say that adamant non-believer. So it's just like, well, I can send you the actual MP. I can send you the card if you want it because I keep them all. So I was like, you can have the raw tape. I don't need it anymore. Whatever. So I was really worried about that side of it because I've also never done anything like this before. Like, I've done music before, but you don't see me do it. So the video side of it was something that I was really, especially when you first started, it's always really awkward asking your questions to the middle of nowhere. Like, anyone want to speak to me? And you're in a church and you're like, it's just awkward. So I'm so glad that Bryan helped me get over that hurdle.
It's funny because I remember the whole conversation that me and Lex had. And at the end of it, because I remember Lex brought that up about worrying about what other people are going to say about his editing job. Yeah. I said, at the end of the day, dude, have you seen a lot of videos on YouTube? And I said that to him. Because that was implying, dude, have you seen some videos on YouTube? I don't think you have anything to worry about, And it's just initially getting over that hump, and that's what he did, and he's done well. So,
thank you.
He has. I love your videos.
Thank you so much. You're gonna love the next one. It's coming soon, hopefully.
Excited.
Yeah, I'm taking a leaf out of Bryan's book. I'm doing a haunted bridge.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called
Cool.
it's called the Chinese Bridge, and it's crazy. So I'm looking
Oh,
forward
I
to.
remember that. I remember you talking about that. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's
So,
awesome.
Looking forward to it.
so that's gonna bring me back onto you, V. So we did miss a question, Brian.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back a question. I think we did.
Yeah.
So what out of all the platforms you had to choose from when coming up with this show, was it the fact that you were telling your own stories that made you want to do it as a podcast and not YouTube, or is there a different reason as to why you chose that format?
I think, like we were even talking before I came on, I'm a naturally shy person and I'm very private. So, I was really reclusive from social media I was a recluse for like 3 years. I was not on social media. I just had one private social platform for like just friends and family. So I was, I just thought it was a good way to get myself out there without being seen. That was just how it was. But then, like I said, like once I started Twitter and then started coming more into the community, I felt more confident. So I think that's why I started off with the podcasting first. And like I said, I'm entertaining the idea of doing a YouTube. I do have a YouTube. It has I uploaded my trailer and maybe one episode for my podcast, but that's all I have. That's all I have so far. So I don't know. Yeah.
I was like, 'cause you wouldn't tell that you're shy from your Twitter feed, because that's how you and me met.
Yeah.
You put up you're asking for stories, weren't you? You were asking for stories, and I submitted mine, and you read it on your show, which I'm still very thankful for. Thank you very much for doing that. And it's
of course, it was awesome.
Yeah, and obviously I've been following you since then. I can't remember when that episode aired. It's quite a while ago now, I think. And it's like, yes, maybe February time. I can't remember.
Yeah, probably beginning of the year, I think.
Yeah, beginning of the year.
No, last year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but because I was new, I think I think episode 3 of my series had come out at that point, or part 1 had come out. So yeah, so you wouldn't tell at all from your social pages now that you're that really shy in terms of putting yourself out there. I've seen you talk about some really sensitive topics online, and you do it boldly, and so you would never tell.
That's just who I am. And I think like I said, I pretty much came out of my shell, and I feel confident in who I am now and everything. But I think that's just something that, because once you're on YouTube, you put so much out there of yourself. So, I still have younger children. I just want to be cautious in what I do and everything. So, yeah. But other than that, I'm 100% real, right, Lex? I'm just right. Lex knows the realness of how it can get.
I do.
I think think, and that's another thing that me and Lex spoke about last September, is just getting over that hump, because you are going to have a lot of people that are going to be negative. You just can't get away from it. But I think at the end of the day, what you need to do is just ignore it, accept what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, it doesn't matter what any other people say, because we all like to get the views and stuff like that. But if I can show my stuff and 15 people love it and 5 people hate it, I don't care. I'm focusing on those 15 people that loved it. And I think that's the problem with YouTube today. Everybody's so focused on getting 1,000 subscribers in 4,000 hours so they can be monetized. I think that's the biggest problem with YouTube today. And
100%.
And so many people, and I hate to say this, and I'm going to say it, but I know there's a lot of people out there, especially in the Twitter world, saying that we're family and all that stuff. But there's a few people that are supposedly in that family that are or would be considered the black sheep of that family, because some of them are just so negative and so toxic that it's almost like they get a thrill on doing it. And I don't get it, but that's how I look at things. I'm glad that's how you look at things, and Lex looks at things the same way. So, Lex, what I'll let you do, since we did skip that question, I'll let you ask the next question that you have.
Damn straight. Unrelated question quickly before I go into the main one. Do you know someone called Vic Angel on YouTube?
Yes, why? That's my husband. What's he doing?
He said, "Go, honey, go. You're kicking butt" in the chat. So I just wanted to throw that up there. I'll put it up on screen for you just so you can see it. There it is.
Oh, yay, baby. Oh my
Hear that?
God.
Now that is
Well,
support from a loved one.
You know
That's
what,
fantastic.
Vic? It's. I'm glad you came in the room. It's very nice meeting you. Obviously, you're here to support your wife, and that's fantastic. That's
is.
great.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Sweet. So now we'll do the real question.
And I'm telling
okay.
you, sorry for cutting you off. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Lex. But Vic, you better follow our channel.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I don't know how many episodes you're in now on your show. What?
I'm on my second season, and I think I'm on like 18 or 19, I believe.
Yeah.
And I only have a few. That's why, like, a bunch of people have, oh my God, over 100, 200 episodes, because they're posting like, or they're uploading like every week, you know. And I'm just I just go as I, you know,
Your
as
own
I
pace.
please, just because, you know, my life is, yeah, it's busy right now, but that's what keeps it fun for me. I'm not to say that the other people aren't having fun doing it, but like when I feel like it's an obligation, I just don't want to. It started off as something fun and something I love to do, and I want to keep it that way. So
fantastic.
yeah.
So with that second season, what's been the biggest surprise on your show that you've heard?
Man, you know what? I think in every show, because this is what I tell my guests, I don't like to hear their stories until they come on, because I genuinely want to be surprised. I want to like experience it for the first time with them when they tell me. But I think like doing the show with Asher's, like our cryptid stories, no, like really hearing her stories, and with me and her, it's crazy. There's like so much synchronicity between us. Like some of the stuff we talk about that she's experienced, and then I will. It's crazy. That's what surprised me the most, is like how she got put into my life, and then some of the stuff that we've been doing and talking about, you know, just behind the scenes. It's just been crazy. I think that's what it is. You know, sometimes the universe works in really mysterious ways. So I'd have to say that, like, I've been really surprised for some of the things that we've pieced together, and you know, without even realizing it. It's like we needed one another to do that. So I think that's what it is. You know, when you're investigating, sometimes you just come upon these things and it's just like, wow, you know. I've heard about investigators going out and getting information and kind of piecing together a long, you know, unsolved puzzle or mystery, you know. So I think that's this season, that's what's been going on with me and Asher's. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. So question I have for you, obviously we've talked quite a bit during the show. What is something people don't know about you that you would like them to know?
That I want them to know. Okay. Let's see.
Be a different question if it was like, what do people don't know about you that you still don't want them to know? Tell us on a live show.
That I don't want them to know, but I'm still gonna tell. Okay. Well, I do have my own business, so I'm actually a massage therapist. So I've been, I've had a home studio for forever. Right now I'm doing, you know, more mobile stuff. And I do readings. So I think that's what I'm not sure if I really delved into that so much on my show, but yeah, I'm a mom and I'm a full-time student. I'm at the university. I'm going to be a junior in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I'm going to go finishing my sophomore year, but I'm actually studying to become an educational psychologist. So that's what a lot of people actually don't know about me. I'm in school right now. So I think that's why I'm so busy with, you know, life, my family, the podcast, and school. So I think I think when I have the time, that's when I really like to, you know, get those interviews in, do some editing. But yeah.
That's great.
That is a busy schedule.
Yeah, I was going to say, when do you have some downtime? Do you ever have downtime?
After the kids go to sleep. And even then I'm doing homework till like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. So
Wow.
Yeah.
A busy person. You're a busy woman. Is
Yeah,
Lex frozen? Is Lex frozen? I thought Lex was frozen there.
Am I?
Yeah, you're starting to. Oh, there you go. There you go.
If I just keep
He's
rocking,
like
it might
rocking
fix
back
itself.
So Lex has his final question that he always likes to ask. And just to let people know, next week, Lex is going to do something on the show that is going to put this all together and why we've been doing this. I'm assuming that's what's going on. He kind of talked about it in the green room. So I don't actually know what's going on next week. So go ahead, Lex, ask your final question.
Okay, so I'll fill it in just a little bit. So for everyone who's been watching our show, I think I mentioned it last week for the first time and on Twitter, that Lex Paranormal's Mind of a Paranormalist podcast is being created, and it's due. First recording is due, I think, next week, so it should be out not long after that. And the first episode on that is discussing the Randonautica app, and that's why I've liked doing this poll, because I've been using it to get some feedback from other people that content create and their opinions, and I want to see where it falls. And you guys, if you've been watching the show from the beginning, then you will probably already know the results so far. But if you're just in and out, or you're new, and first of all, go back and watch the rest of the 18 episodes because they're awesome. Just making it clear. I internet break all the time. I don't do the intro correctly. It's a whole shebang. Almost 20 episodes to get here.
Yeah.
So that episode's coming. So that's doing that, and that's what this poll has been for. So this will be next. Whoever's on the show next week, if we have one next week, that would be the last time I ask this question before I reveal the results on our show, and then we'll discuss them on my podcast. So it's coming. That's what that is. So V, this very important question, probably the most important question you're ever going to be asked in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
I'm assuming you've heard of Randonautica. You know what the app is to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
And do you personally believe that it is in any way linked to the paranormal?
I've only seen what I've seen. Do you know what I mean? I've heard of ones that are just like completely out there and crazy, stumbling upon dead bodies and all this other stuff, experiencing really creepy stuff. So I think there's something, I don't know if there's just something really odd going on with that app, if that's the best way I can put it. But paranormal, I think it depends. I've had people tell me all the time, like, well, why don't I experience it, or why don't I see it? And I just think sometimes it just chooses you. I think some people experience nothing when they do it, and I think if for some reason it just has to happen to you. And yeah, I think it could be paranormal in nature too. So I think it depends, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Oof. Bryan,
so I don't know if that was a yes, no, or maybe. I think that was a maybe.
That's definitely going. I think that's a maybe.
Okay.
What? Sorry, you broke
maybe.
up there. What did you say? A maybe? Yeah, that was a maybe. That's okay.
I think it's a maybe. Yeah, because like I really just started getting into it like this year. I'll be honest. So that's just what I think.
So Lex will share his theory. Well, it's actually not a theory. I think it's actual factual. And
bring it on, Lex.
Yeah, he's gonna bring it on.
I'll tell you what I'm excited for quickly. I'm excited to actually do this podcast episode because I never have to say this explanation again after I've recorded that episode. Because I think I've repeated this 18 times, but eventually the message will sink into some people. I'd say, obviously you've got a phone, you know how apps work, right?
Yeah.
So when you get an app, let's say Twitter needs to update, Twitter updates, it tells you it needs an update, you press update and it does it by itself, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Randonautica didn't do that. Now, what it did, and this is what surprised, this is where I wanted to believe in it, and then this happened, and now I definitely 100% don't. So they put the app up, I tried it, and a bunch of my friends tried it, and it didn't work for any of us. And then we put it down to the fact that my YouTube channel has less than 10,000 subscribers, so it doesn't work for me. I think that's like the buy-in. So I was like, okay, cool, it doesn't work. We just won't use it. We just won't use it. So it's been dying on my phone. And then my friend was like, "Oh, have you tried to go around an autocorrect? It's not working." So I went on it, didn't work, and I was like, "Okay, I don't know what's going on with it." Turns out the developers had taken the app down for updates. Now they did this at the height of its YouTube popularity with a certain group of YouTubers who are doing these videos week in, week out, which is quite weird. I was like, okay. So the time it's at its most popular, they took it down for update. Not install an update, they took it down. You couldn't use it. And then they made you reinstall it with the new update. And then I used it after this update, and it sent me, I did it 4 times, and it sent me to the first top 4 most haunted places in my area. Which says to me, they've realized that it's not doing what they wanted it for, which was to get people out of the house and exploring. They've realized the paranormal community on YouTube is making it popular. So we're going full of haunted locations using the internet. And that's what they did. And that is why I do not believe in it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. No, I mean, this is why I like to talk to people, because it's like we can't just assume and just like base our assumptions on one thing. It's nice to talk and get facts and, you know, information from other places. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
No one knew that, surprisingly, because they just accepted it when they downloaded it again. Yeah. But I do like. I believe in I believe there was coincidence for people using it. I'm not going to say everyone fakes their content, because I know not everyone does. But I think for this app to be the one app that definitely proves something, because it happens every time to the degree that it's happening on these YouTube videos, it's full of shit for me. And I was like, okay, once or twice maybe, but the same person getting demons 10 times in a row, it's shit.
Yeah, so basically, when this app was created, it was created for the reasons of people getting out of their homes. And instead of sitting in your home and watching TV all day, they wanted people to get out of their homes and experience their community, or wherever it would take you. So if it took you to a house, it took you to a street, it took you to maybe a park. That's why they originally created it. But then we all know what happened. That person was found on the beach and in luggage, and then it just blew up. So me and Lex are on the same page. I only used it once, and it literally sent me back to my condo.
Go home, Bryan.
And I was already in the condo. So, yeah. Now, at the beginning, I was telling people it was taking me to my bathroom, but that was just a joke. But to me, it just, and then there was another time where it took me to, an alleyway. And it's just weird. But anyways, I think Lex has gotten close to ending this poll, and I hope whatever he's coming up with is going to be great. Obviously, we'll all be listening to Lex's podcast and subscribing. Of
course, yeah.
Let's just say, I'm about to shut some shit down.
So I know you're on several platforms, so why don't you let people know what those platforms are?
Okay, so you can find me on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can interact with me on Twitter at @VLifeParanormal. Actually, my podcast can be heard wherever podcasts are available, to be honest with you. But at the moment, I'm working really hard to, I want to get on Pandora and iHeartRadio, so I'm working on that behind the scenes too. But like I said, when I get to it, when I have time. But right now, guys, want to drop me a story, you want me to, include it on my show, or even beyond my show, just DM me at VLifeParanormal on Twitter, and we can talk about it. Yeah, I'm working on some good stuff coming up too.
I can't wait. I would like to add, for anyone who is listening to her show, please leave feedback and reviews on it, because I'm sure V loves to get them as well. I know that you post the reviews up on Twitter, and I know that people who leave them are really appreciative that you actually respond to these reviews on one of the biggest platforms in the country. Yeah. So it's great so leave reviews, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Please. I appreciate them greatly. Yeah.
So just to let everybody else know in the room that all those links will be in the description, so you can just easily click on that link, go support another family member of the paranormal.
Yeah.
That's obviously a fantastic person and really, really nice to speak with. And I really appreciate you coming on the show today. It was great to finally have the opportunity to speak to you rather than through Twitter DM. So and I'm not a huge fan of messengers and stuff like that. I actually physically like to speak to people because I think when you're speaking to somebody through DM, it can be misconstrued in so many different ways. I'm not talking about our conversation, but any conversation you have, whether it's through texting or whatever. So, but I really appreciate you coming on the show today. It was a real joy having you.
Thank you.
I got to learn a lot more about you. I'm going to be listening to more of your podcasts and your future podcasts, but I want to say hi to your husband, Vic. I'm assuming that's his name.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay. So sometimes people don't put their real names, so I don't know. So, but I want to say hi to him and thank you for taking care of the kids while she's sitting in the car doing the interview.
I'll be in right now, honey.
Thank you.
Well,
Lovely. And
thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to see you and speak to you. I've spoken to you for a while, but this is our first face-to-face chat. So I just want to say thank you so much for honoring us with this. I can't wait for the future. Like I said, everyone, please show V some support. She is phenomenal. Thank you very much. Well, according to Vic, we rock. He just said it. So V's husband thinks we rock. So I will take that. So thank you very much. But that was great.
Yeah. I enjoyed it because it was our first person that's not on YouTube, and it's our first podcaster. And it's funny because when people don't know this in the room, obviously, when me and Lex were talking like today and during the week, we were trying to figure out what kind of questions we were going to ask a podcaster, because everybody knows that we interview paranormal investigators. So it was definitely interesting asking different questions, and it was great. And I didn't realize she was a medium. I haven't listened to all her podcasts. I've listened to a couple. I'm going to continue listening to them more. She's got quite a few up there. I didn't realize as a podcaster you need to put up that many. That seems like a lot, but anyways, it was fantastic having her. And again, guys, if you're new to the show, subscribe to our channel. If you're subscribed, go over to V's and subscribe to one of her podcast channels. It'd be great.
It is. And I would thank you, Alexi, for saying another great show for us. Thank you so much. It's just been good to have a different direction this week, especially with us about to hit the big 20 next week. 20 shows has gone by so quick. I can't believe we're already there. Like that's weird. It seems like yesterday that we had all those technical difficulties that I kept causing. It's well,
no, like at my end, Melon was causing problems too.
Oh, I forgot that we used Melon before.
Yeah, so that was causing all kinds of problems. But now they supposedly fixed all those problems. Maybe we should go back over to Melon and try Melon for a little bit. But
I don't know. Unless
I'm a little scared, to be honest.
Unless someone from StreamYard wants to send me a deal on how I can remove that watermark without paying the full price for the features I don't want to use, and then we'll talk. Okay. But
yeah, I don't know. I really honestly truly believe that our show, there has to be a problem. There has to be.
It's like the gimmick. I might just have to break something on purpose next time. Eventually. I'll have to something will go really well and I'll just end the stream and I'll be like, oh no, technical error, guys.
That's hilarious. That's great. But I guess we should go. It's good. We're finishing a little bit early today than normal. So I want to thank everybody that came into the room today and anybody that's going to be watching the replays. If you could, I mentioned it today in a tweet, if you could like, share it out. And again, go over and subscribe to V's channel. That would be awesome. But I want to say thank you to everybody that came in today. And with my final words, like I always say every single week, don't let yesterday use up today.
From me as well, guys, thank you so much for the support that you've shown us on this journey as we're hitting our 20th episode next week. We've had a collection of fantastic guests. We are looking forward to have another collection of fantastic guests in the future. And we want, if you guys in the chat, if you're paranormal investigators, you've got paranormal style podcasts, because now we do those too. Let us know. But before we go, a bit of a controversial quick sentence I want to say. And I don't know if you've seen this video, Bryan, but I have. Okay. There is a video of a popular YouTuber who is using a very popular topic's dead family as a video topic and leaning with his back on the mother's grave, saying that he's talking to her. And I, as not as a YouTuber, not as an English person, as a human being, I find that disgusting behavior, and you do not deserve the subscribers you have if that's how you're having to make them. And that's just, I just want to say it. I don't know if you've seen it. I saw it the other day, and it's disgusting, especially with this family. It's now been made famous because it's all over Netflix, and literally sat on the grave, back against the tombstone, legs out like they own the place. I find it absolutely so disrespectful.
Such a shame.
Let alone faking the content for it, but whatever. But anyway, I will say, other than that, it's been a great week, great day. I can't wait. Hopefully you do your live. I can't wait to see what you and Reckless get up to as well, because that's going to be phenomenal. And we'll see you next Sunday on Through the Lens. Thank you very much, guys. Good night.
Bye, guys.